Hello, my name is Chloe Folan, and this evening I just wanted to create a very short video about the Rainbow Bridge techniques. Now, I do have another Rainbow Bridge Phase 1 class. My Rainbow Bridge Phase 1 classes are restarting in February of 2023, and I'll put a link below the video to my next Rainbow Bridge Phase 1 classes, because I do teach my Rainbow Bridge Phase 1 classes over 2 separate classes, and the reasons why are explained in the description and the information that's given. But before I start speaking about the resuming of my Rainbow Bridge Phase 1 classes, I just wanted to read a very important quote from the late Josephina Norman Stevens' second book, the second one, Rainbow Bridge 2, Link with the Soul, Purification. So I would just like to start with that very important quote. And this quote is then talking about the Rainbow Bridge techniques in general. So I'm on page, if you have this book, I'm on page 9. And I'm the second paragraph down. There is, of course, a penalty when a new presentation of truth is given to the unqualified and to the publication media generally. It will be misinterpreted, plagiarized, and rewritten for profit, combined with false and unsuitable teachings of the past, used in injurious directions, divided into sects, and otherwise abused. And unfortunately, this year, I've noticed that slightly on the rise. And this brings me back to why I get so agitated at people who pretend to be proper teachers of esoterics when they're not, or mystery teachings. And what they do is they take proper techniques like this, like the Rainbow Bridge techniques that were meticulously documented for 10 years, studied, cross-referenced numerous prototype groups, the results tracked, verified independently, meaning if you look into the amount of honest work and integrity that goes into these techniques, and there are other techniques with different purposes that amount of proper work has gone into. It agitates me so much when so-called metaphysical teachers, and it's always to either keep themselves relevant or trying to ride the wave of the latest fad. I've spoken about this before. Will find a good technique like this and butcher it for profit or to keep themselves relevant. And unfortunately, this year I've caught 2 people in particular with big names trying to do that. I'll read this paragraph again. There is, of course, a penalty when a new presentation of truth is given to the unqualified and to the publication media in general. It will be misinterpreted, plagiarized, rewritten for profit, and combined with false and unsuitable teachings of the past, and basically abused. If anyone was a decent teacher of esoterics, they would not dare do that to someone else's technique. So as well as today's video being about proper, pure Rainbow Bridge teachings and why, it's also a gentle warning out there to people who get told nonsense about the soul star or given a new upgrade on the soul mantra. There's no such thing. Now, don't get me wrong. People will put their own creative takes on the soul mantra. That's fine. But when the soul mantra is being taught, the soul mantra is one of those prayers that's so pure. It does not need anything else added to it. And if it is added to and messed with too much, it's not going to give the organic benefits. So this is what I mean, where people try to, it doesn't work because these techniques protect themselves. They are so pure. They protect themselves, and people that do those types of things expose themselves straight away. And any decent East terrorist would recognize straight away what they've done and what they're doing and never go near them or never go near them again. So like that, I'll say it again, I've got no issue with people that have a creative take, their own personal creative take on the soul mantra. That's normal, where you would work with the soul mantra and then you might get your own insights for you. But when it's about the soul mantra being taught, it's one of those prayers that has no upgrade because there's no such thing, that does not need any modifications, because if anything like that is done, it harms the proper benefits of the original prayer. So I'm appealing to advanced incarnating disciples, because I'll say it again, I've noticed this issue on the rise, not just with the Rainbow Bridge techniques, but it just being done in general. People looking for the latest thing to put a spin on it for their own selfish purposes or for profit or to pizzazz themselves or make themselves go viral or whatever nonsense is going on. I'm creating a soul thought form today to appeal to incarnating advanced disciples, that you always are able to see through that type of lower astral fluff and nonsense, and that you're able to navigate your way through some of the nonsense that's out there and find the proper, pure Rainbow Bridge techniques. Because if you're able to find the proper, pure, unadulterated Rainbow Bridge techniques as an advanced incarnating disciple, that's what you need. When a proper spiritual ascension technique is created of this caliber, and what also makes these techniques work so beautifully is there is an esoteric law where it comes to ascension techniques, you cannot create a technique beyond where you are in your evolutionary process. So in other words, if someone is only still building to their soul star chakra and thinks they've created an ascension technique that will get you built to your monad, it won't. It won't. You cannot create an ascension technique beyond where you are in your own evolution. So that's the first bit of fluff to look through. If someone's saying to you, right, I've got an ascension technique and you've got some inner vision capacity and you're seeing they're only building to their soul star. If you are an advanced incarnating disciple, you need more than that. You cannot create an ascension technique beyond your own point of evolution. Josephine and Norman Stevens were advanced disciples. And one of the ways I know that is because they don't self-reference themselves. And Caroline Myss talks a lot about that, meaning when Caroline Myss went and researched enlightened teachers and who they were, what the markers were for them. Number one, they don't talk about themselves. They don't talk about where they are on the path. They don't self-reference and things of that nature. Josephine and Norman Stevens said very little about themselves. So number one, that's how I know they're advanced disciples. And number two, I know they were very advanced because I've had the privilege of documenting and gauging the stages of evolution people go through as they work with the Rainbow Bridge techniques. And I have seen people, and there's a small international group at the moment, going through what I call stage 9 of building the Rainbow Bridge. So even as I continue to teach proper, pure Rainbow Bridge techniques and catalog the benefits, I'm still continuously amazed at who Josephine and Norman Stevens were. Because I'll say it again, you can't create a technique beyond your own point in evolution. It is esoteric law. So that's how I know they're advanced. People are using the Rainbow Bridge techniques, and after a lot of dedication, getting up to stage 9 of building the Rainbow Bridge. And if you have a look at one of the articles on my website, I didn't think I would see anything like that in my lifetime. Meaning, when I released that article, I was only aware of a small group that were going through stage 8. I didn't think anything like stage 9 could be reached. So that's a reflection on Josephine and Norman Stevens. They would have had to have at least been at what I call stage 9 of building the Rainbow Bridge for people using their technique to get to that stage themselves with a lot of dedication. Please keep in mind, I'm talking about people that have been continuously using the Rainbow Bridge techniques for a few years to get to stage 9. So just coming back to what I'm talking about, if you are an incarnating advanced disciple, and at the time their second book was published, Josephine and Norman stated that there were thousands of advanced incarnating disciples incarnating. And there still is. There still is. And some still trying to come through into incarnation. But what's happening is, and what a lot of people don't understand when it comes to the law of reincarnation, even if in a past life you got to a more advanced stage of development in your evolution, maybe you did that just once or twice or 3 times, but no matter how many past lives you got to a higher stage of evolution, when you are physically reborn, you start again at the beginning. But when advanced disciples then connect with the proper technique, it enforces the process to not only properly get you back to where you were in your own evolution, but help to prompt it further. And I have seen no other technique, and I have experiences in other techniques, no other technique helpfully, safely, and properly enforces evolution like the Rainbow Bridge techniques. Very safe, co-created between you and your own soul. And all you have to do is follow the techniques. And as I mentioned before in a previous video on the Rainbow Bridge techniques, it's just meditation steps. It won't interfere with any current belief system you have. You can still continue to work with other techniques you've been working with as you use the Rainbow Bridge techniques. All that's asked is you do the steps properly, and the rest beautifully unfolds. So while you can do a proper, deeper tutoring class with me, the Rainbow Bridge techniques are available for free. For free. And I would invite you to have a look at the what I would call the official website for the Rainbow Bridge techniques, www.soulone.org. I'll put a link down the bottom of this video. You can source the techniques for free, and on that website there's very useful how-to videos, lots of information, lots of other articles for you to access for free. So like that, you don't have to do a class with me. I'm always very grateful when people feel a calling to, but that also brings me back to my video. The Rainbow Bridge techniques are unsurpassed completely for so many reasons. Meaning, when you connect with the Rainbow Bridge techniques, the foundation vibration of honesty, integrity, and right relations is what you connect with first. That physical foundation. And as you deepen working with the techniques, it allows you to unfold a very healthy emotional and mental narrative with yourself under the guidance of your own soul. And as this technique helps you induce building to your triad, or getting back to building to your triad, that helps you to connect with anything else that's authentic to your life path and service, meaning on so many levels, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. There is no other technique out there like Rainbow Bridge. And I find it so offensive and disgusting when I come across people trying to directly and indirectly butcher and plagiarize such beautiful, wholesome techniques that were given for free and freely accessible. Like that, I do charge a small fee, but like that very small fee, and it's just an exchange of energy, meaning it's a chittering class. You're not paying me for the techniques are available for free. It's a healthy, energetic exchange for a chittering class. That's what you're compensating me for. You're compensating me for a chittering class, where you're given the class recording, the class manual, a lot of other deep insights. I go into other Rainbow Bridge related topics, not just the steps. So it's a unique chittering class, and people that sign up for my classes also receive a free introduction video with 3 short meditation techniques to connect with first before the classes start, to really help heal and strengthen the auric field and have you on a beautiful vibration for a soul-to-soul class, and really creating that soul-infused sphere of energy when the class starts. So everyone's beautifully, physically, and soul-infused, all on the same page, and the classes always flow beautifully. So I just wanted to explain that as well. So my main thrust with today's video, as I was saying, is an appeal that if you want proper ascension techniques, meaning the other point about this is for anyone that goes into the history of how these techniques were created, not only were Josephine and Norman Stevens advanced disciples, meaning advanced incarnated souls, they also tested these techniques first on high degree initiates. So high degree initiates also tested these techniques first. Josephine and Norman Stevens' first prototype groups were only made up of higher degree initiates, for higher degree initiates to test the techniques first before the techniques were then given out. Such high caliber techniques that will always remain unsurpassed. These will always be the gold standard techniques for properly Antakarana thread weaving, building the Antakarana, building the light bridge, and building the light body properly. So if you're an advanced incarnating disciple, or even if you're not and you're just saying, oh my goodness, Chloe, I would love this. Where is this? I'll put the link down the bottom where you can source the Rainbow Bridge techniques for free. If you would like a tutoring class, my classes are resuming in February of 2023. I'll put a link to my classes as well and all of the information. And that would be my main calling, that all of these souls that are currently in incarnation, that have been seeking something deeper, that have been seeking something to just slot in those last pieces or deepen the evolutionary experience in a safe, healthy, properly tried and tested way, where you are getting the pure techniques, unadulterated techniques, as they were intended. New, pure, sourced techniques. And I'll say it again, if it's not broke, don't fix it. These techniques do not need to be fixed in any way, shape, or form, meaning anyone who does those techniques will agree. I'm just really, in this video, I'm really pushing back against all of the ignorant light workers out there who would actually do stuff like that. And I'll say it again, not just to the Rainbow Bridge techniques, but other techniques. Because I'll say it again, that to me doesn't show someone being innovative, being, I can't say the word, being thinking outside the box or doing something clever. Someone who would come along and look at the Rainbow Bridge techniques and sit there and go, oh, how can I now twist this to suit me? How can I now twist this to make it look like something I made up, and then appropriate all of the benefits into what I made up? When, isn't that so bizarre? To me, that shows someone who is not a light worker. To me, that shows someone's just manipulative and is not a proper teacher of anything, as far as I'm concerned. So look, unfortunately, a little bit of that has been on the rise. There's a lot of have a go people out there at the moment that are not only harming the personal and spiritual development field, but they're harming other fields of service as well. Like that, I don't know why people doing that think it makes them look good, or that other people won't see what they're doing or notice what they've done. Look, over there with it. My main thrust with today's video is to create a soul thought form that if you're an advanced incarnating disciple, or even just a soul in incarnation, looking for something honest, deeper, and pure, where you are going to get the proper, pure techniques as given, as intended, and therefore you will get all of the benefits, because that's the technique being taught. You can't plagiarize somebody else's technique and then claim all the benefits of that technique. That's just nutty. That's in no way, shape, or form coherent. But look, anyway, as you can tell, I've had to push back quite a bit against what I'm talking about this year. And like that, I have no mask. I'm very honest. I'm very transparent, and I'm very upfront. And as someone I've been doing right relations my best to continue to put a high caliber technique more publicly out there, as is, as given. There's been some adaptions here or there, but nothing along the lines of messing around with the soul mantra prayer or anything else of that nature. So here I am, continuing to try my absolute best to create a soul thought form, a soul pathway, to where I can keep doing that. And people who are only interested in butchering such amazing techniques just fall away. Just not interested at all. So if you're looking for techniques that do help you to properly unfold in a healthy manner with your spiritual development and all of the benefits of a proper, grounded ascension technique that was created by high caliber initiates, with high degree initiates testing the techniques first, and you would like to receive the benefits of such a high caliber technique, you can reference the techniques for free on the soulone.org website. All my classes are restarting in February. And my prayer today is that all souls in incarnation are able to see through hyper-glamorized spiritual nonsense, are able to see through hyper-glamorized wayward teachers and recognize them the instant they come across them, and just no. Because it is a bit of a landmine out there when you're trying to source proper spiritual information and proper grounded, decent spiritual teachings. So definitely Rainbow Bridge is the best of the best out there for reasons that I've discussed, but I'll be creating a whole nother video on that. So please do feel free to check out the soulone.org website. Have a good look at all of the material, have a look at the steps, and if you're feeling impulse to do so, please start into the techniques under your own steam. There are a lot of Rainbow Bridge solo workers out there that continue to reference that website and all of the free materials. Or if you would like to work with somebody who teaches the techniques properly and as given, and gives the proper prayers as given, and can guide you through a proper, grounded process that you can then fully enjoy as evolution is healthily enforced. Being able to enjoy the ascension process comes from being taught proper techniques that have been properly tested and continue to be given as is, so you continue to get those exact results. So if you would like to join my February class, I only take small classes because I like to connect with people properly. And I do have to have my classes online because I'm very blessed that I'm in demand internationally. So if you would like to be a part of a lovely, small soul online group for my February classes, please contact me through my website, www.chloefollen.com. And as always, if you have any questions or queries, please contact me. On that note, my prayer today is that all souls in incarnation can find the authentic teachings that they're seeking, can find the authentic prayers and techniques that they need, and may all souls their way through proper healthy pathways be able to unfold and continue to receive the emotional, mental insights and assistance that you need on your own evolutionary journey. Soul to soul blessings to all.